So I'm pretty sure I hit the go live button well before I was ready to do it. And in fact, I think I was in the middle of trying to get the like the thumbnail shot. And so it went live and I was totally not expecting it. Ooh, okay, well, here we are. I was gonna sit down and create a video of like actually several videos based upon some of the things that I've been working on lately. And then I thought, dang it, I should just go live and just talk about it and see if there is anybody around who wants to chat with me about anything. And if not, then cool, I will record this video and then people who are interested in the topics that are in the headline can catch up with this later. So if you do hop on and you're logged on, let me know that you are here. Let me know where you are from. Tell me what you're working on. Just something. Let's chat. Let's talk. It'd be really enjoyable to sit and engage with some folks today. It is about almost 6 o'clock where I am on the West Coast. And so I've sort of been experimenting with this whole live stream about when to go live to see what is the best time of the day and then the best time of the week to catch the people that I like to chat with, and you know who you are. And so let's see how it goes midweek in the evening. I know we're going to miss the folks that are in the UK. They are sleeping unless you are staying up super late. And then what are you doing? So anyway, as the title suggests, I want to talk about a couple of things today. And if you have questions or you have your own experiences, please throw them in the chat box. I wanted to talk about my experience testing out the Ezoic PWA thing. I was going to talk a bit about setting that up and what it was like, and then also just what it is doing as far as results. And what I am seeing. I wanted to talk about the content challenge, how that wrapped up for the month of March, and then moving forward to April. I wanted to talk about what I'm seeing as far as traffic and revenue. And there is just almost nobody here today, which is sad, but that's all right, because you guys, when you wake up or when you get back to your computers, you will catch this later. I mean, I'm aware it's dinner time too, so maybe Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time is not the best time. Noted. All right, so let's talk about the Ezoic PWA. If you don't know what a PWA is, you should not feel bad, because I didn't know what it was either. I'd heard of it, and then it came up in my conversation a couple of weeks ago with John Dykstra about how he loves PWAs, and I was like, please tell me about this thing that I know nothing of, because I have no idea what you're talking about. And basically, as he explained it to me, is it's an app. A lot of times you might see them wrapped up in an ad network, or maybe separate as a plugin. But basically, it takes your site and turns it essentially into an app. Like it treats it like an app. So the user who is in it can swipe right and can swipe left, and instead of having all of the bells and whistles of the website, instead of having the header, with the URL, it will work more like an app. And the idea is that it's supposed to be faster, and the user experience is supposed to be better, and it's supposed to lead towards improved numbers in Google Analytics. So people are more likely to look at more articles. It makes it easier for them to get into more articles, and there's just less distractions, and there's less things for them to click on, and all they will do is continue to read. And so never having used any of these things, I thought I would check it out. If you follow the channel, you know that I'm a huge fan of Ezoic, especially for channels that are just getting to that 10,000 sessions a month mark. That is a great jump to get to from just a straight up AdSense, where a lot of people are in struggle. And I just had a great experience jumping from AdSense to Ezoic at that level. So I recommend it to everybody at that point. But what I'm looking over here at, and I guess this is one of the downsides of going live, is that I don't like to share my screen, because I don't want to give you my social security numbers and date of birth and all of my information that is in my my Ezoic account if I were just to share it live, and I don't have a really good handle on how to blur out the stuff like on the fly. But the idea of using the PWA is to have improved page views per visit. And then, those other things you might see in your analytics account. You want to see lower bounce rate. You want to see higher time on page. You just want to see green numbers in every way. And so I was afraid Because I tested the site speed accelerator last month, and after I turned it on, everything in analytics just seemed to go, down. Everything went to the red. The number of visitors went down. It was like it was like some sort of event had happened that Google looked at it and said, hey, we need to send fewer people to the site. It just was negative overall. And I know a lot of people have had really positive experiences with the site speed accelerator, and I just didn't, because I was looking at all the numbers and I was like, holy cow, this is not doing good things, even though it seemed to be theoretically doing what it was supposed to do per the Google page site speed insights thing. So the first thing I did when I turned on the PWA is I started paying really close attention to what things were doing in Google Analytics, because I was looking for any sort that it was going to be harming rather than helping the number of sessions and the time on page and all of those things, because I was going to immediately turn it off, because I just wasn't going to mess with it. It's an experiment, right? I just want to try it out. Hopefully it was something that was positive. And so, hey, Royal, how's it going? I don't think we have met before. We haven't interacted at all in a chat. So while you're over there, let me know, where you're from, what you're working on. I love hearing that stuff from folks who are doing similar work to what we're doing. And today we're talking about, right now, the Ezoic PWA and just turning it on and seeing what it looks like. So I'm not going to go through it again. You might have to watch the beginning again. But basically, I was just talking about sort of my fear in turning it on. And, I was afraid that it was going to be awful. And what I found when I turned it on is that nothing immediately went into the red, right? Site speed indicator, it went on. And, I started to see negative impacts in Google Analytics. I turned on the PWA and I didn't see anything like that. Having had it on for a couple of days, 4 or 5 days now, I wouldn't say necessarily that I'm immediately like everybody should run and get it. But I'm also not seeing anything that says, I must turn it off right now. Rodney says, hi there from Vancouver. Awesome. Yay, West Coast, West Coast. And Sadia News says, hello, I want to ask some questions. Ask away. If I know the answer, I will try and answer them. And if not, I will tell you I don't, because I really don't know everything. I really don't. Just sort of share what I know. So I digress. We're talking about PWAs. So I turned on a couple of days ago. And one of the things that the Ezoic support folks were really clear about is they were saying, oh, well, just so you know, there's really good reasons to use the PWA, but it doesn't always produce very good revenue. The EPMB oftentimes with it is lower than without the PWA. And so I was like, okay, well, this is a good experiment. And luckily with Ezoic, they have lots of stats. So they tell you, the number of visits, the EPMB, page views, your bounce rate, the site, the visit duration, the revenue, everything. And then they break it down so that you can compare directly how the PWA is performing against the mobile, just the regular desktop and the tablet. And so when I first turned it on, I really wasn't that excited, because when it first went on, you could see clearly that the regular mobile and the desktop was performing better than the PWA across the board on everything. It was getting fewer page views rather than more, and wasn't seeing this sort of rush of improvement in the analytics part, which is what theoretically you'd want to see with a PWA. But since it wasn't hurting the overall stats, or at least obviously hurting Google Analytics, I decided just to let it run and see what it would do and whether those stats would change. And in the last 4 or 5 days, I am seeing some changes. So the page views per visit on some of the testers, because it's got 3 different PWAs it's testing, and I honestly don't know what the differences are between them. They just showed up in my experiments tab. So if you turn it on and you go to experiments in Big Data Analytics, it shows me my ad tester, mobile tester, tablet, and then 3 different versions of the PWA: the cuttlefish PWA, the angelfish PWA, and then the goldfish PWA. And one thing you should know, and I didn't understand this in the beginning, is that Ezoic doesn't turn and send all of your mobile traffic to the PWA. It says that it will send potentially 10% or even less to the PWA, which at the time I was like, but what is the point of turning this on? Because I theoretically I would want all the benefits of the PWA. If it's going to really increase my traffic, I'd really want to see it. And now in hindsight, I'm glad that it only does 10% because it's a really good way to sort of test it out and see how well it works out. And then I don't know if it's something in the future that you say, okay, well, Ezoic, can you increase that number in the dashboard for the PWA? It doesn't give you the option to adjust what percentage of people are being served the PWA version of your site. But for me right now, just watching the numbers, I'm glad that it is only at 10%. And then we will see how it goes. I mean, with Ezoic and just like anything else when it comes to ads, you have to test it for a while and let it run. Especially with Ezoic, you should let it run for a while and see what it does. Of the 3 versions of the PWA, so cuttlefish, angelfish, and goldfish, overall in the last week, the site saw 5,700 visits. And it has sent so far about 400 visitors through the PWA. So I've got, what, 4,000 visits on mobile. So the majority of my traffic through this particular site is on mobile, and it sent about 400 visitors through it in the week. The page views per visit, for the most part are less, which is kind of sad because you're hoping that that the PWA would do better than mobile because that's the idea, right? But the ad tester mobile is still doing better than the PWA. But what I am seeing though is that the PWA numbers are improving over time. And so I am just really curious to see if I continue to let it run and see what happens. The bounce rate with the PWA is higher than the regular mobile, which I don't like. The average engaged time per visit is also lower than the regular mobile. And then the site duration is also less for the most part by about 20 to 30 seconds. So far I'm not, like, but again, I have to remind myself that it's only been 4 or 5 days, and we have to let things play out and see whether or not the tester of these versions is going to get better and then work with my site better. And I will say again that PWAs may work better for some sites than others, and people who try this out may find that it works way better for them. And just because I'm having this experience doesn't mean that you have to do it or you should not do it. I generally think you should just test it out. So I'm checking over in the chat box because I was trying to run through the PWA discussion, and Sadia News says, is there any chance of premium AdSense AdX disabled like normal Google AdSense account? I mean, like normal accounts, and works with a network and then disables or not? Is it safe to work with the network or not? I heard that normal Google AdSense disables, but premium ad networks not disable and eat up your earnings. So I'm not exactly sure which network we're talking about. It sounds like you're asking about running 2 networks at the same time. If we're talking about the AdX and working with just regular AdSense at the same time. I'm sorry, I think it's an issue of just English as a second language, and I really want to answer your question if I can. I'm not using a ton of any other ad networks. The only other ad network I really have a lot of experience with is Ezoic, and that is just since about December. So if you're looking for really good advice from experts, I'm sadly not that person. Royal says, hey, I'm doing well. I'm from the Congo and living in China. Wow, that will definitely give you a broad experience as far as life and also what is going on in the world right now. If you still have family left in Congo and then living in China right now, I can't even imagine what that would be like. But I am definitely curious to know more about what life is like right now and where in China you are living and what it is like based upon sort of what is going on around the world. So if you're over there and you care to share, I'd love to hear about it. Skipping back up to Rodney, if you are still watching, it's like, hey man, thanks for dropping in. What are you working on? Sadia News says, I mean, is it safe to work with Ezoic? As far as I know, I don't have any reasons to think that it is not safe to work with Ezoic. So far, my experiences with them have been completely above board. Now, I will say that I'm an Ezoic affiliate. but they do not pay for my positive opinion, period. I won't give a positive opinion if it's not something that I truly believe personally, because that's baloney. There's plenty of people out there who are just saying things to make money, and I'm totally not into that. So I'll just say it again. I am an Ezoic affiliate, but I only recommend them because I actually use them myself, and I think other people should use them. And so far, in my experience, I have not had any issues with Ezoic whatsoever. The eligibility criteria for Ezoic, the primary thing you need to have is at least 10,000 sessions a month. And it does help to have approval for AdSense. It's not required to apply for Ezoic that you have AdSense approval, but it will help you earn more in general if you have access to the inventory from AdSense. So in general, I think not just Ezoic, I mean, any of the ad networks, Mediavine, all the rest, it just helps to have AdSense as an ad network that your ad network can pull from to get inventory for your site. As far as other eligibility, I think you would want to make sure that your site meets the other terms of service requirements of AdSense and any of the other networks. So you want to make sure that you don't have tons of content that ad networks or advertisers would not want to show ads on. I mean, you can make a website about whatever, right? But it doesn't mean that an advertiser is going to want to show ads on your site. Things that are focusing on gambling or weapons or alcohol. There are just a lot of advertisers that don't want their ads on those sites. So in general, I just say, if you're looking to apply with Ezoic or any ad network, that you just make sure in general that you can get approved for AdSense, because if you can get approved for AdSense, then you're probably going to be doing all right for just about any other ad network. Rodney says, I find your topics interesting. Good, me too, which is why I talk about them all the time. Just starting out with my very first blog. Hey, congratulations. I have to say that now is a great time to do that. And I would say that whether or not we were in the middle of a pandemic, because just getting started and getting out there and getting over the hump of getting started, that's a huge deal. And I'm excited. Trying to decide on what topic to write about. Very tough. Can't decide which way to go. Affiliate versus ads. I think in general, I would make a long-term plan of monetizing with both. And I think that a lot of successful folks with websites are able to monetize with both and do really well there. Some people worry, oh, if I have ads on my site, will cannibalize my affiliate income. And this is when I really want to send you over to Matt Diggity's channel. He recently did, I guess not recently, but in the last couple of months at least, he did a test on one of his blogs where he tested whether or not he got just as many opt-ins on his email list with or without the ads being present on the site, because he was worried, wondering that if on a site that on an opt-in place, an opt-in page that had no ads, if he added the ads, that people would click on the ads instead of opting into his email list. And what he found actually was that he made money from the ads, and he actually got more email opt-ins than he did without the ads. And so I thought that was a really compelling video and potentially an argument for why it is that people shouldn't be so worried necessarily about doing one or the other. So anyway, I think that you can be successful doing affiliate stuff and ad networks, but generally in getting started, I think the best thing to do would be to focus on one, and then once you get one stream going, that is a good time to start on the next one. Saudia News says 10,000 sessions organic from Google, or can it be totally social? I've never heard them say that it has to be organic or social. So far, they just want to see the traffic and they want it to be consistent. They'll ask for your Google Analytics information. And so if you had a site that had no traffic, no traffic, no traffic, and then 10,000 sessions in a month, they might be suspicious of that. And maybe they want to see you go a couple of months like that. But as long as the traffic is not fake traffic, low quality traffic, bot traffic, I can't see why they would be bothered at all if it was coming from social. I think a lot of people are using Pinterest to drive traffic to their websites to monetize those sites with ads. So again, I don't see that it has to be organic traffic to be able to get approved for Ezoic. Hey, Jazzy, how's it going? I wanted to say to you that I just thought it was awesome how well you did in the content challenge this last month. I haven't had a chance to go through any of that stuff because I've been talking about Ezoic so far. But I just wanted to call you out and say how proud I was of you this month for coming off of a really bad month last month and then just really sticking to it this month. And then I am super proud of you. So that's awesome. Saudia News says, I have 50,000 social traffic monthly, but not organic traffic. Well, the nice thing about Ezoic is that it's free. And if you're already using another ad network to apply for Ezoic, you don't have to turn all the ads off. And they're really big on not interrupting your revenue. So they don't want you to stop earning during the application process. And the reason I know this is because I talked to them about it and they reassured me of this over and over and over again, because when I applied with my case study site, I had my AdSense ads on there and I was like, hey, do you want me to take these off? And they're like, no, don't take them off, leave them on. And as we set up the site for Ezoic ads, we'll wrap them, we'll keep them there and we'll roll them in. So there wasn't any really long gaps of like a week or 2 weeks or even a day where the site wasn't earning something. So Saudia News, I would tell you to just apply. Like I said, it's free to do. And if they deny you, they deny you. And there's no downside except for the loss, I suppose, in your time. Rodney says, I like how you're letting us know how things are going for you. I'm trying to get the courage to try that as well. It's really hard because you come on these things and people want to see that you're making thousands of dollars. And before they'll believe you or think that what you have to say is relevant. And so I guess what I try to do is just not position myself as an expert or as a guru because I'm not those things. And I think that there's a lot of value in just sharing the process and sharing how things are going. And because I learn from that stuff too. My favorite channels on YouTube right now are other case studies, other people who are doing the things that I'm trying to do. And a lot of times, a lot of cases, they're doing it better than I am, but that's how I learn. I'm really not getting a lot of value out of these, make $100 a day videos and, $20 a day, free PayPal money. That stuff is just not very helpful. And then, the high level stuff where people are selling courses, like, again, just not that hopeful at all. So, it takes a lot of courage, I think, to start a brand new YouTube channel when you don't necessarily know a ton about what you're doing. But I think that if you are sharing it from the perspective of I'm a beginner, I'm a learner, I'm here to share what it is that I'm doing and my mistakes, and you can learn from my mistakes. And I mean, it seems to be working for me overall. I think maybe it makes people more approachable if they say, okay, I can see myself kind of like you, and I could see myself maybe doing it better than you. And I mean, I don't know. It was hard for me in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. And I still have some anxiety about putting content out there because I don't know what people will think about it or think about me. And I'm just trying not to think about it at all. Saudi News says, I have all social traffic. I think you should just apply. I honestly just think you should apply and not worry about it. And I think that message got through. You said, okay, thanks. Yeah, I think you should just apply and see what happens. He says, right now I have no AdSense. I have only this other network. It approved me automatically, and the ads are coming in Google on my site. Have you tried applying for AdSense, and can you get AdSense approval? Because I really think that if you can't get approved for AdSense, then it's going to make it really hard for you to make the most money possible out of Ezoic. I mean, just in general, it's not just Ezoic, but it's any ad network. And so I'm just wondering why it is that AdSense is a challenge right now, and what the status is of that. Brittany says, once you get your first site accepted, it's much easier to get your second site approved. They now let me get my sites on Ezoic at 1,000 page views. That is interesting to know. I have wondered whether or not in the future they would lower their sessions requirements just in general, just to try to snap up more of the individuals who are in AdSense and just sort of waiting to get to that 10,000 mark. I kind of wonder whether or not they have support staff enough to handle sort of the rush of people, like the flood of people that they would get jumping over to their ad network. Because I think there are a lot of people who would love to use AdSense, use Ezoic, excuse me. They just don't have enough traffic. But that's good to know. I have not applied with any of my, well, that's not true. I have applied with some of my other sites that are approved on AdSense, and Ezoic didn't want them, didn't like them. Oh man. So I was talking about the Ezoic PWA, and I'm so distracted right now. But the sum of it is, I'm not sure if I like it. And if you have questions about it, I would tell you to go back around. I did a bunch of screenshots as I was setting it up, and then eventually I think I'll do a summary video of my experience. The next thing I wanted to talk about was getting the channel to 1,000 subscribers, and I don't want to make this like a YouTube tutorial, because that's not really what I wanted to come on to do today. Instead, I wanted to tell the story of how I was stuck at 998 subscribers, and I was basically stuck there for hours, right? And I don't know if people were subscribing and unsubscribing, or if it was just quiet because of the time of day or whatever. And Darren, who is somebody who follows this channel, and I follow his stuff, and we just chat on Messenger now and again. And he has been in the last couple of content channels, and Darren messaged me. He sent me a video, and it was late in the evening. It was almost 11 o'clock here, and I was still just watching it, like scrolling, like, oh, are we going to get there? And we can't get there, and I'm going to go to bed, and it's going to happen while I'm sleeping. Darren sent me a message, and he rounded up a bunch of his family members, and they all went and subscribed to the channel all at once to push it over to 1,000 subscribers before we all went to bed. And it just tickled my heart. I almost cried. He was so sweet about it, and sending me the cute little video and then telling me about it. It was so, Darren, I just wanted to call you out in front of everybody and say thank you so very much. I'm actually going to do something weird because the sun is gone and it's dark. So I'm going to open up the window really quick. I feel like I was sitting in the dark. That's probably not any better. The next thing I wanted to chat about is the content challenge for March, just to wrap up, and then heading into April. So the last couple of months we have been doing, and I don't even know what I just clicked. There we are. We have been doing the content challenge in a Google Docs spreadsheet, and it's been working out really well. And I've had some other folks just being interested in it and wondering how many people were actually interested in doing a content challenge in a given month. And so we decided to try a Facebook group. So far, a handful of people from the last couple of months have popped over there. I've seen Phil, I've seen David, I've seen Jazzy and Patricia from last month, and I'm not sure if I've seen Chris over there, but I did want to say, though, for March, even if these folks don't jump in April and in the future, that these guys and ladies have been working their butts off. Phil had the goal of 100 articles in the month of March and was only 2 short, which is ridiculous. And I know that his articles are at least 1,000 words. So he created almost 1,000 words of content in the month of March, which is insane. Sean was new to the challenge. He has his own YouTube channel, which has been growing fairly quickly. It's close to 500 subscribers. I think he does a lot of Amazon affiliate stuff, and he puts out a massive amount of content on his site in a given month. And he had a goal of 100,000 words and got all the way to 90,000. And I think he actually throttled back because of what was going on with the whole pandemic stuff and being involved in Amazon affiliate. But I think he could have easily gotten there if he had kept the throttle open. So great. I mean, great job, man. And I totally can understand why it is that you might have throttled back. And I'm curious to see how April and such plays out. David had a goal of, I think, only 20 articles, 30 articles, and 50,000 words. And he destroyed that. I mean, just killed it. He got to 39 articles and basically got way ahead for the next month. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think he set a bigger goal for this next month. Asim was new to the group, and he had a goal of 50,000 words, and he said that he was having some problems with writers, but I know that he did. It looked like he got maybe halfway to his goal. He didn't finish up. So if you see this, Asim, and you're watching right now, go over there to the spreadsheet and tell us what happened, or just drop it in the comments of the chat or in the description. You know, it's nothing to be ashamed of. I totally blew up this month. I had a goal of 100,000 words and maybe got halfway there, and I feel like I have good excuses. I had a great month otherwise, but I just didn't get as much content created as I wanted. And I blame my life and my children and all of the other goals that I have. Patricia was new to the group, and she came in and also worked really hard. She wanted to get 60 articles done. Didn't quite get there, but still got a lot published, and I was super thrilled to have her. Jazzy, like I said before, had a kind of a bad month last month and then came back and did it. Totally did it. Hit her goals and the rest, and I was excited to be a part of that. Chris basically had what I would say a super epic month and super epic progress. He's got 2 sites going, and I really am excited and hope that he continues with us and continues working with us, because I'm really enjoying following his progress. Darren is always super quiet in the challenge. He picked out a goal of 20,000 words of new content. He's got a couple of sites going. If you get a chance, he has started a YouTube channel about to support his blog. It's a fishing website, and he's doing Fish and Money, and he has started posting little short videos with him and his family out checking out the fishing spots around where he lives. And I like to pop in on them and then kind of get a view of what it is like in the life of the man who likes to fish around Las Vegas. Darren, if you're watching this, one of these days, if I ever come down there, we will go fishing. Let's see. I have talked through Ezoic PWAs, getting to Darren's story about getting to 1,000, being a sweetheart, the challenge wrap up. Oh yeah, we're going ahead with another challenge in the Facebook for the month of April. We basically have a new cast, a new crew. We have a couple of the old standbys, and then we have a bunch of new people who are jumping in. And you guys might be watching this video later, but there's some names that are pretty familiar to me, and then some new folks that I'm just meeting, and I'm excited to see how it plays out. If folks are interested in getting into the Facebook group, I'll drop the link, but I'm honestly not pushing it really hard because I like the group being small. I don't see a need for the group to be, hundreds or thousands of people. I like knowing what people are working on, and I like knowing people by their name and what their goals are. So folks who are really interested in jumping in are welcome to go to the Facebook group and try it out. But mostly I'm pretty excited about who is in there. Going over to the chat box, and let's see. It looks like Brittany and Saudi News are having a chat. Let's see. Royal says, I'm living in Nanjing. I have been in China for 3 years, and everything is fine. It's been more than 2 months that we haven't been allowed to go out, but it has allowed me to focus on what I'm doing and working on new projects. Wow, 2 months without going out. I'm so far, I think, in my 3rd week of basically being like on voluntary lockdown. They tell us, please stay home, try not to go anywhere, but they're not arresting anybody if they're going out. And so it's sort of like a pseudo lockdown. We're basically staying at home for our health and safety, but nobody's going to make us. But I can't imagine not being able to go out for 2 months. But I guess it would really force you to focus on what it is that you're doing. He says, I'm sharing more values with my audience on Instagram, and I'm working on my YouTube channel. Yeah, it is a good time for that. The situation in China is improving. We will have the right to go out from tomorrow, and I'm very impatient about it. I can imagine. I have a feeling people are going to be out and running around as much as possible, because I know that's what I would be doing if I was stuck inside for 2 months straight. I can't even imagine. So congratulations, Royal. That's awesome. It's really positive to see people coming through on the other side of this, and hopefully seeing life return to normal. Give the rest of us hope that one day we will also be there. The last thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was traffic overall. When this whole pandemic thing first happened, a lot of people were talking about how they had seen traffic fall. And then, we're starting to see some growth. And for me, it's really hard to tell with my sites, at least my case study site right now, whether the growth that I'm seeing is associated with the pandemic or it's just the natural sort of growth curve of a site that has reached the 1 year mark and is getting a little bit older. I've seen some spikes in specific articles, and they could be articles that would be popular whether or not there was a pandemic going on. So I don't know for sure whether or not the traffic for that blog is being impacted positively or not by the pandemic. I will say though, ad revenue is falling, and that was the prediction from a lot of the experts that we would see, and that's what Ezoic is saying. don't be surprised. We're going to see ad revenue falling, and that is what's happening. I'm not too concerned about it. I'm doing my best just to sort of continue to create content and to continue to improve the site and be ready to do well when it comes out. Now, I will say, though, that I haven't talked about my Empire Flippers website investments. If you may or may not know, but last year in the summer, around July, I closed on a package over at Empire Flippers. I bought, it was like a small portfolio of sites, not really knowing what I was doing. And just like I always do, I try to, I don't want to take somebody's word for it. I want to try it out and I want to see what's going to happen. And so I was like, okay, let's see what this process looks like. Let's see what it's like to buy a site from Empire Flippers. And so I did it. And then I recorded a couple of videos about my experience. And let's see, it's been July. So July, August, September, October, November, site with 10, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. So it's been 9 months so far. And I haven't recorded any videos, I think, on the package since month 5. And I really should get to it. But the profile, like the package came with a handful of sites. And one of the sites was a site that is now 4 years old and was earning very, very little. It was kind of touted as like a build it up site, a site that you could grow, just an extra asset to try to, I don't want to say inflate because inflate is the wrong word, but sort of prop up the value proposed for the sites. And I wasn't really that interested in it. I was like, oh, well, maybe it's something I'll build up later or I'll get to and do something with it later. And so I've just sort of been kicking along the site, not really doing very much with it. And one or two, probably one post on the site that just happens to be really relevant to a topic that is really relevant to this has exploded and just getting massive amounts of traffic. And so this blog that was literally making $2 or $3, maybe $2 a day max is now sometimes making as many as $50 or $60 a day. And it's, it's really shocking in a way. You see this thing where you go to you look at your app and you're like, there's something wrong here. Like the stats are wrong, right? You're just like, there's no way that site has earned that much money in any given time. But it turns out when I checked analytics, I just have one page on there that seems to be doing really well. And so I guess if anything, that is an argument for, diversifying, right? There's some areas where people are just totally getting decimated ad revenue wise, but if you just happen to have a handful of investments in lots of different things, then if one thing goes sideways, sometimes you can get the benefit of something else. So one of these days I will get around to doing my like an update. I probably will just wait honestly until I get to 1 year and then just chat about sort of the progress of these sites on the basis of the 1 year, just because we've had a lot of ups and downs with the Google algorithm. And I'd really like to have sort of a overarching idea of how it really went. And then how much money did I make or did I lose? And, whether or not overall it was a good idea, would I do it again? So I've basically been talking for about close to 40 minutes straight. I am totally happy to hang out and chat with people if there are any more questions. I haven't been super helpful as far as answering questions because, again, I think it comes down to I don't always know all that much about what's going on. So far, we've got, 9 people on, and I think I have an idea of a couple people who are here. But if you are just jumping on, feel free to let me know that you're over there, what you're working on, all the rest. If anybody has any thoughts or questions, I'm happy to hang out. I mean, really, a lot of us, including Royal, are stuck at home for one more, well, Royal's stuck home for one more day and could use a distraction to keep him from being impatient. But I see people fleeing. They've had enough. Well, guys, that's probably what I'm going to get done for today. For those of you that popped up, Saudi News, Royal, Brittany, Rodney, I think those are the primary folks that were in the chat today. Thank you so much for leaving comments, for chatting with me. It always helps and makes it way easier to get through these lives. I'm not super comfortable doing them because it's just not, it's not my thing. I'm learning, but I always appreciate people who are willing to jump over there. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with everybody soon. It's been fun. Take care.